She stood on my dock, arms crossed, face red with anger. "You can't swim here unless you pay HOA fees." She shouted like she owned the lake. I told her calmly, "This is my property. You don't get to tell me what I can do on my own land." She didn't like that answer. Within minutes, she pulled out her phone, screaming into it, "Yes, officer. He's trespassing. Send a unit now. Arrest him." I couldn't believe it. She was calling the cops on the very man who owned the entire shoreline. My little girl tugged on my sleeve, whispering nervously, "Dad, are we in trouble?" I knelt beside her, whispering back, "Not us, sweetheart. She just doesn't know who she's messing with." Out of the corner of my eye, I could see neighbors watching from their porches. Some laughed, others whispered. But everyone knew one thing. This woman had just lit a fire she couldn't control. When the police cruiser rolled up, she ran toward it, waving her arms dramatically. "That's him. He's breaking the rules. He refused to join our Lake HOA." The officers looked from her to me, confused. One of them asked, "Sir, do you live here?" She jumped in before I could answer. "He doesn't own anything. I'm the HOA president. He's just some squatter using our lake." I didn't say a word yet. I just smiled. Because the folder in my truck had every deed and legal paper they would ever need. Karen had no clue that the man she was trying to get arrested was actually her landlord. The officer stepped closer, hand resting on his belt, waiting for me to explain. Before I could, Karen stomped over, pointing her finger so close to my face it almost touched my nose. "He doesn't pay dues. He refuses to follow our rules. And I demand you remove him right now!" Her voice cracked as if she believed screaming made her powerful. I finally stood tall and looked straight at the officers. "Do you want the short answer or the long one?" I asked calmly. They exchanged glances. Karen snapped, "Just arrest him already." But the older officer held up his hand. "Ma'am, let him speak." I walked to my truck, every step slow and steady, the neighbors now leaning in with curiosity. Opening the door, I pulled out a thick leather folder, its edges worn from years of handling. I laid it on the hood of the cruiser and flipped it open. "Here's the deed to this property. And here's the deed to the land around the lake. Every single lot you think your HOA controls, it's under my ownership." The younger cop whistled under his breath. "Wait, so you're saying?" I tapped the papers. "I'm not just a resident. I'm the one who leases the land your so-called HOA is sitting on." Karen froze, her jaw falling open. She stammered, That can't be true. I'm the president. I run this community." The neighbors erupted into murmurs, some laughing, others pulling out their phones to record. For the first time, Karen's fake authority cracked. And then I dropped the real bomb. "So technically, Karen, you've been paying me rent this whole time." Her face went pale like she'd just seen a ghost. The crowd of neighbors burst into whispers. Phones lifted higher, capturing every second. Karen tried to laugh it off, but her voice shook. "This is ridiculous. He's faking those papers. Officers don't believe him. He probably printed them off the internet." The older cop raised an eyebrow. "Ma'am, these are notarized documents. Deeds recorded with the county clerk. This man isn't lying." He looked at me with a small nod, almost like he respected the patience I was showing. Karen wasn't done. She spun around, desperate, yelling at the neighbors. "Don't you see what he's doing? He's trying to take over our community. If he owns the land, he could kick us all out." That silence that followed was heavy. Everyone was waiting for me to speak. I let the pause stretch until Karen was almost shaking with panic. Then I said calmly, "You're right about one thing. I could kick everyone out, but I haven't. Because unlike you, I actually respect the people who live here." The neighbors started clapping, slow at first, then louder. One man shouted, "Finally, someone stood up to her." A woman laughed, "All those bogus fines. And she doesn't even own the ground under her house." Karen's face twisted in rage. She lunged at me, trying to snatch the folder out of my hands. The cop stepped in instantly, pulling her back. "Ma'am, calm down. You're crossing a line." But she wouldn't stop screaming. "He can't do this. I'm the HOA president. I make the rules here." I leaned closer so only she could hear and whispered, "Not anymore. The only rule that matters is mine." The younger officer glanced at me and muttered, "Sir, you might want to press charges. That was assault." And that's when Karen realized this wasn't just a power struggle anymore. It was the beginning of her downfall. Karen's shrieks echoed across the lake, but now every phone camera was on her. Neighbors who once stayed quiet were shouting back, "You fined me $500 for painting my mailbox red. one man yelled. Another woman added. She threatened to tow my car for parking in my own driveway. The cops tried calming the crowd, but it was too late. Karen's perfect image as HOA president was collapsing right in front of everyone. Her face turned red. She pointed wildly at me, screaming, "He's lying.
All of you are blind."
He forged those deeds. That's when I pulled out the final card. I reached into my folder again and unfolded a certified county map. The seal glistened in the sun. "See this?" I said, holding it up high so everyone could see. "Every square foot of this lake, every path, every dock legally belongs to me. And here's the kicker. Your HOA doesn't even exist on paper. It was never registered with the state." The crowd gasped. Phones zoomed in on the county stamp, neighbors pushing closer to see for themselves. The younger officer grabbed the paper, scanned it carefully, then looked at Karen. His voice was sharp. "Ma'am, he's telling the truth. You've been running a fake HOA." Karen froze, trembling, her words stuck in her throat. Someone from the crowd shouted, "So all those fines, all those rules, were scams." The murmurs turned into laughter, then into outright cheering. One neighbor threw her crumpled fine notice into the air like confetti. Another shouted, "Hey landlord, how much to evict her first?" The entire street roared with laughter. Karen's power melted in seconds. She covered her face, trying to hide from the dozens of cameras recording her humiliation. The officers didn't let her escape. The older one said firmly, "Ma'am, we'll need you to come with us. Impersonating a legal authority is a serious crime." And right there in front of everyone, Karen was put in the back of the squad car. The same squad car she called to arrest me. As the squad car door slammed shut behind her, the neighbors erupted in applause. Some even whistled. My little girl, who had been clutching my hand the whole time, looked up at me with wide eyes. "Daddy, was the mean lady gone?" I bent down, kissed her forehead, and whispered, "She's gone, sweetheart. And she's not coming back." My wife finally stepped forward, relief washing over her face. She wrapped her arm around me and said softly, "I was scared for a moment, but you never even flinched." I smiled at her, because I knew the truth was stronger than her lies. One of the neighbors came over, shaking my hand firmly. "Man, you don't know how long we've been waiting for this. She's been terrorizing us for years, pretending she was in charge." Another woman chimed in. "You don't understand. She fined me for hanging an American flag on my porch. Can you believe that?" I raised my voice so everyone could hear. "Listen up, folks. I'm not here to control anyone. This is your community. You want to fish in the lake, go ahead. You want to paint your mailbox, plant flowers, fly a flag, do it. You're free here. No more fake rules." The cheer that went up could be heard across the water. Kids ran to the edge of the lake, splashing, laughing. For the first time in years, it felt like freedom. My daughter tugged my sleeve again, whispering, "Daddy, are we safe now?" I lifted her into my arms. Always. That's why I fought back. Nobody tells us we don't belong on our own land. As the sun dipped lower, painting the lake gold, I stood there holding my family close, neighbors clapping me on the back, and I thought of one simple truth. I didn't serve my country just to let someone like Karen steal my home.